Hello everyone. Today we will be studying about civilization. Civilization as a topic was mentioned in 2.1 under the subheading the nature of culture. So here it mentions about the two terms, that is the concept and the characteristics of culture and civilization. What we will be doing is that apart from these two terms, we will also be studying the relationship between society, culture, and civilization. Yes, and then we will look at the anthropological perspective towards the term civilization. So let's first of all let's have a general understanding of what civilization means. So earlier we have studied about society, then we studied about culture, and now we are studying about civilization. Yes. So in society we studied that society has its basis in relationship between the members of a society. Now members were humans. Yes. So in society, the main emphasis was given on relationship. Now we also studied the organic and superorganic theory. So society was compared to the organic phase. Yes. Now moving forward, what happens that to regulate itself, what society does is that it over the time has framed traditions and customs which has become the standards. That is, they have taken the shape of cultures. So in culture, we have studied that culture is a complex whole which includes traits which regulates the members of a society. Yes, so it regulates this society, this relationship which exists between the different members. Now, moving forward, when we talk about a civilization, civilization is can be considered as a manifestation of society and culture. Now, this manifestation is in the can be in the form of artifacts. Uh, when we talk about society, so here the emphasis is only on relationship. Yes, but to exist physically, this relationship should also have some tangible aspect related to it. So if we ask a particular person what civilization for them would mean, for specifically in Indian perspective, so he will give the example of Indus Valley civilization. See, this is the first time when we came across this term civilization in the Indus Valley civilization. So to classify as a civilization, there will be certain characteristics. Yes, there will be certain features which, if attained, will take the shape of a civilization. These characteristics will be studied by us in later part. But try to understand this. When we discovered the Indus Valley civilization, we were able to dig up the physical and the hard, the tangible aspects. That is, we were to dig up the mounds, the drainage pattern, and everything. So this is what civilization is. It is a representation of the society and the culture in the physical world. So this is what the general meaning is of civilization. Now let's study this term from the perspective of anthropology, from the perspective of the subject anthropology. Yes. So in this field, various anthropologists have studied uh, civilization. Let's begin with the very first school of anthropology, that is the evolutionary school. That is the classical evolutionary school and the new evolutionary school. So the evolutionary school in the 90th and the 20th century, what they believe, they has presented us particular scheme of evolution, that is from savagery to barbarism to civilization. Yes. So if we have to write about civilization, so you have to mention that civilization is the latest or the most advanced phase in the evolutionary scheme as per the evolutionists. Here you can mention about E.B. Tyler, You can mention about Morgan or even Fraser, but these two names are important. Yes. So what Morgan did that in classifying these civilization, these stages, it has also given some features to all these things. Now we don't need to go into the specific of these features. It is just that you by your own can write about these features. For example, in the savagery phase, let's consider ourselves to be in the very primitive phases where we were not unaware of agriculture, where we had no language. That is, this represents a phase when we were still in the very nascent phase of our development. Yes. So here our mode of production, our mode of consumption has been in the hunter-gatherer phase. Yes. And here you can mention that for Gordon child, this phase is the earliest phase. It also represents the earliest society. Yes. In the barbarism phase, we find that the domestication of animals and plants has begun. Then the hunter gathering started expanding and taking the form of group hunting. Here, the people started realizing the social nature of humans. Here, there was rise in totemism because we consider that totemism as the earliest forms of religion, as per few anthropologists. Yes. Similarly, the concept of family and clan system or lineage is coming up. Now, coming to civilization. So, in civilization, what we see today in India, what we see that today the current phase of Europe or anything can be mentioned here. So, what we will do is that we will be skipping this at this moment. When we will be studying the characteristics, you can mention those characteristics here. Yes. Moving forward. So, uh, there are other anthropologists also who studied civilization. The one anthropologist like Ogburn and Nimkov. So for him, see in the definitions, we understand the meaning of the particular term. If a question is being asked, explain the concept or the characteristics of of civilization, then the various definitions which have been given by different anthropologists, in these definitions only you will be able to identify the nature, the characteristics. Yes. So what Ogburn Nimkov did that they first of all they had a belief in the super organic nature of culture. That is, culture has a super organic nature, and they believe that civilization is a later phase of this super organic culture. That is, civilization is a more later phase. That is, for them, first culture comes and then civilization comes. You can just mention it out here. You don't need to go into more detail. Yes. Similarly, for Golden Wiener, Golden Wieser or Golden Wiener, he he considers culture and civilization to be same. He equates culture and civilization. Yes. So these two are short definition, short meaning which you can mention about. See, when we are studying about civilization, civilization has been taught in terms of culture only. So if a question is asked on civilization or it has been asked on relationship between culture and civilization, so here you have to write all these things. Yes. Now moving forward, like now let's go into more specific, like more emphasized definitions related to it. So one is of Mac Lever. Yeah. So Mac Lever and one more anthropologist, that is A.W. Green. These two names are very important here. So what MacLever did, so MacLever, he studies civilization from utilitarian and instrumental view. That his approach is utilitarian and instrumental. So if you look at this utilitarian words and instrumental, you will see that this is very much related to the functionalist school. Yes, that is, civilization has some functions, it has some utility which it is serving, and in this serving this utility, it is acting as an instrument for the society members. Yes. So here he says that, see here the statement which he gives is like this, that it is the whole mechanism, that civilization is the whole mechanism and social organism, techniques and material instruments which have been devised by man in his endeavor to control the conditions of his life. That, as what we have discussed here earlier, that is what McLever also says, that civilization is a whole mechanism. It is a mechanism, and just try to understand the words. You cannot mug up the whole definition. You have to remember what McLever trying to say. It says that civilization is an whole mechanism and a social organism, techniques and material instruments which has been devised by whom? By man in his endeavor to control the conditions of his life. That is, that man has devised civilization. And what is civilization? Civilization is a mechanism. It is like a social organism. It is a technique. It is a material instrument. Yes, which was devised for what purpose? For the purpose of controlling the conditions of life. Yes, if a man is living in a cold environment, so the clothing there will be different. Similarly, the housing structures will be different. So all these aspects, forms, they are framed for a purpose, and all these aspects show the civilizational aspects. Yes. So for McLever, civilization is a means. Civilization is a means to an end. What is end? End is purpose. That is, end is the purpose. That is the conditions of life, and means are the ways to achieve it. Yes. Uh, this is one of the definitions. Now, moving forward, a more emphasized definition was given by A.W. Green. So, A.W. Green has given a definition which says that culture, culture becomes civilization only when it possesses, what thing? It only when it possesses pehla, written language. Second, science. Third, philosophy. Specialized division of labor. A complex technology, and a complex political system. And a complex political system. So A.W. Green says this is the definition which he gives. So in this definition, if you find that these points which he has given, these represents the characteristics of a culture. These represents the conditions by which, if it is fulfilled, a culture can become a civilization. Yes, so this is why the definition, the understanding of A.W. Green is very much important. So, if a question on characteristics is been asked, you can directly write all these points. Yeah. Now, so MacLever is very much important here. You have to write A.W. Green. You can write about golden visa. The definition is very simple here. Augman and MCOM is related to superorganic, and then evolutionist theories is also very much important in the civilization. So this is what the meaning was. Now let's talk about the characteristics. So as I discussed that these were already the characteristics which were given by A.W. Green. However, let's try to sum up the characteristics which are today accepted. Yes. So the first definition is that, see, these are the characters and these are also the conditions. So one definition is that what happens when there will be agricultural surplus will be there, then this surplus will facilitate the population to rise and get concentrated. When food will be there, only then the population will be able to sustain itself. Yes. So with population increase, there will be a rise in needs, and to fulfill those needs, we will need civilization. So this is the first point. That is, with that agricultural surpluses will facilitate population rise. This is also one of the theories in the origin of Indus Valley civilization. Yes. Second, the population concentration becomes this population center, this population center which is increasing, it will become the center. This will become the center of trade, commerce, education, religion. Yes, we find that in Indus Valley civilization with rise in population, like for example, here you can give the example of Mohenjo-daro. So Mohenjo-daro was a trade, commerce, and also an education and religious center. Yes. Third point is that there will be specialization. There will be increased functional specialization. That every person cannot do all kind of a jobs. There will be some specific jobs which will need to be done by only special persons, and this specialization will lead to division of labor. Will lead to division of labor. Now, now what could be this kind of specialization? This specialization may include military. Then there will be economic, educational. So all these things are the specialized field. Moving forward, that the resources will be controlled. In most of the cases, the resources will be controlled by the ruling class. A ruling class will control the resources. This was present during the Mahajanpad period also. This was present during the Indus Valley, and this is also present in the today's perspective. Now, fifth, what will happen that because of this nature of division of labor, it will result into inequality. It will result into the concentration of wealth in few hands, and because of this, this will lead to the society moving from egalitarian to stratified society. Yes, stratified society. And this stratified society, when it is or it will be formed, in what society will try to do is that it will try to define it. So there will be certain criteria of the stratification. In Indians perspective, caste system was one such basis, caste system or Varna system. So basically Varna system was the one which was responsible for this stratified society. Yes. So there will be different. For example, there may be a racial system. So these are some of the forms in which this will take place. Then in political system, what will happen that the political system will become more centralized and hierarchical. Then, as discussed over, we will have a written language. So these are few of the characteristics which you can mention. Under all these characteristics, you can give your own examples. Examples are welcomed, and you can write by your own wit. Like here, Mohenjo-daro can be written. In division of labor, you can write about artisans. You can write about soldiers. Then in specifying the Varna system, you can talk about the Kshatriyas, the Brahmins, and the Shudras. So all these things all these are form of an example only. Now, uh, so let's move forward. So so far what we have found that society is there, then we have culture system, and then we have infrastructure system. Yes, infrastructure system. And these three are working together. These three are working together, they are forming a kind of a trinity. When these three things are working together, it will result into a formation of a stable environment, stable society will be persist for a longer time. Whenever any feature, for example, a characteristics of civilization starts degrading. For example, let's take the example of uh, let's take the example of the stratified society. So if the stratification of the society starts degrading and it starts moving towards an egalitarian society, what will happen is that eventually the specialization of work will decrease, and then the society will show monotonous emphasis on work and job, and thus the civilization will decrease. With decrease in civilization, it will put pressure on the cultural aspect. So what culture will do is that it will try to suppress this civilization. But if it will not be able to do so, then in that case society will finally go into a state of chaos, and thus war like situations, conflicts like situation will start happening. Yes, if we examine the Russia Ukraine war, here you will find that the territorial factor has has been one aspect which is doing this. So territorial, see both the countries share similar cultural features. It has a similar society, but the territorial aspect, which forms a part of infrastructural system, is creating chaos in the cultural and society part. So this is how you can see the application aspect of it. Yes. So let's move forward, and now we will study about the relationship between society, between culture and civilization. So study about relationship between culture and civilization. Yes. So let's first talk about the similarity. See, whenever a question on relationship is being asked, So here you have to write about both the things, that is the similarities and the differences. So let's first talk about the similarities which are there between those two. One similarity which here you can write about MacLever, that based on the MacLever studies, based on the studies of different anthropologists, similar similarities and differences has been figured out. Yes. So one similarity is that both culture and civilization are interdependent. Are interdependent. Yes. So culture manifests itself in the form of mentifacts, and civilization represents itself in the form of artifacts. Mentifacts are men related. That is, it is a human aspect. It does not have any physical aspect attached to it. Of course, it can be represented in the form of any symbol, but it also lies in the symbolic interpretation of humans. Therefore, culture is represented, it gets manifested in the form of mentifacts. And civilization, on the other hand, gets manifested in the form of artifacts. And artifacts, what are artifacts? Artifacts are the components which you are seeing, like pottery, your drainage, your road, your housing. So, all these are only artifacts. Yes. So, both culture and civilization are interdependent. A change in one will bring about a change in other. Culture and civilization, a change in one will bring about a change in other. Yes. So one supports other, one resists the change in other, and if one changes, then what will happen? The other will try to either resist it or it will adapt to the particular change. This is what the similarities are. Second is that the objects of civilization. The objects of civilization after a period of time, after a period of time acquires a cultural significance, acquires cultural significance. Yes, that is, objects are attaining the symbolic emphasis. See, this you can write in the form of symbolism, or in the symbolic anthropologist viewpoint you can write this example, that how a particular object is attaining a civilizational aspect. For example, if we see see in India, we have this, we have stupas. Yes, we have iron pillars. So we find that the lion capital, let me show you, this is, for example, this is the lion capital. Yeah. So we, this was an object, but today we have adopted it as the national emblem. Yes. And this for us has acquired a, a symbolism. It has acquired the aspect of culture. We take pride in it. We have significance related to this symbol. Yes, for example, lion, it shows that it is the king. It is the king of the jungle. Yes, it shows the fiery nature. It shows the bold nature. Similarly, when we talk about bull, similarly when we talk about elephants, so all these animals, these all are have acquired the level of culture. Yes. So here you can give this example. The third point is that culture and civilization are interactive. This I have already told you that they both are in interaction to each other. Uh, so what will happen that if any factor changes, for example, over the time, but today, what in today's perspective, what we are seeing that AI is on rise. AI is on rise. Yes. So what will happen with AI? Probably there will be changes in the civilizational aspect, and this civilizational aspect will bring about change in the cultural aspect. Or you can also that AI may directly influence the cultural aspect, which then will impact the civilizational aspect. Similarly, you can give other examples. with relating to technology or related to even geography. Yes, with change in climate, with global warming, what will happen? The sea level will rise, the countries will drown, the monsoon pattern will changes. So these all will require humans as a member of society to change, to bring about changes in the civilizational aspect. The science and technology which we are working on relating to materials, they all represent a civilizational adaptations to the climate change. So this is how you relate things and write in a particular answer. Moving forward, both point is that in case of clash, for example, if there is a clash between culture and civilization, then in that case, in most of the cases, the culture will succeed. Culture will succeed. Yes. So this is what now. Why will culture succeed? If a question someone asks, why will culture succeed? I think so. I will leave this to the person who is viewing as an homework to write why culture will succeed and not civilization. Yes. So it basically is just that culture has we have given culture at such a level that culture is now shaping the personality. Yes, and civilization is still and very much under the control of the humans. So in case of clash between culture and civilization, culture will always prevent because it is regulating the human behavior, and because it is regulating the human behavior, so it is not possible for a person to go against the particular civilization. And moreover, civil culture is a very vast, it has historical basis to it. To change culture, it will require a dramatic, it will require a revolution to bring about change here. Yes. So this is what the similarities between culture and civilization are. That is, first is that culture and civilizations are interdependent. The objects of civilization after a period of time adopts cultural significance, and culture and civilization are interactive. They interact, change over a period of time. And in case of clash between culture and civilization, it is culture that will succeed and win over civilization. Yes. Now let's move forward to study about the differences which exist between the two. So here also you will write about uh, MacLever only. Yes. So there are so let's study the differences between culture and civilization. So let's write civilization here, and then we'll write culture here. Yes. So the first point is that civilization has a precise standard of measurement. That it is quantitative. It has a precise standard of measurement. Yes. That it is quantitative. On the other hand, culture is not quantitative. It is more kind of a uh, qualitative aspect. It is a qualitative aspect. It is not measurable. Yes, it is not measurable. It is a means. No, sorry. It is an end in itself. It is an end in itself. While culture is believed to be a means to civilization is believed to be a means to end. However, these two statements are still like there may be critics to these statements, so you can skip here. But these 2 points should be mentioned. One is that civilization is quantitative, and the other is that culture is qualitative. Now, regarding the example, you can easily write any of the examples. Any of the examples. For example, when you talk about in the terms of technology, for example, today, like the aeroplanes are considered to be a more advanced technology than the bullock carts or your cycle system. Yes. So it is based on the standard. What could be the standard here? The standard here could be speed. The standard here could be distance, time, velocity. Yes. So based on these factors, we can say that aeroplane has is more advanced form of civilization than the cycle aspect. Yes. But when we talk about culture, can we compare a cultural aspect of one to another? No. See, you cannot compare Buddhism, you cannot compare the values which are given in Buddhism with that of Jainism. Yes, you cannot compare Buddhism or you cannot compare any cultural aspect. For example, you cannot compare the poetry works, the artistic works of different artists. Like you cannot compare Shakespeare. You cannot compare Shakespeare to Munshi Premchand. Yes, you cannot compare Shakespeare to, like for example, you cannot compare Shakespeare to Bernard Shaw. So everyone has given their artistic expression in their own way, and these are a reflection of culture. And so for them to be compared is not, it does not make any sense. Yeah. So moving to the second point. So for civilization, what MacLever said that civilization is always advancing, that it is always advancing. He says that his word says that civilization not only marches, but it marches away, but it marches away, provided. So here he gives a condition that civilization advances, but under the condition that there is no catastrophic break of social continuity. Catastrophic break of social continuity. That is like every institution, every society, every culture which exists, it exists so that it maintains social continuity. Yes. So if if civilization is moving from A to B to C, in this movement, A to B to C, so in this movement, the civilization rate, the civilization advancement rate should be such that the social belongingness remains, and at the same time, the purpose which it is serving should retain itself. Yes, so that is in the motion of change, in the process of changing, it should not bring about such drastic changes that it becomes difficult for the culture or it becomes difficult for the society to cope up with that civilizational change. For example, if we talk about in today's time, if see there is an issue here, like if we talk about the AI, if we talk about robotics, so what will happen? See, there is at present uh, there is a fear that AI and robotics will take up, that it will eat up the jobs. So here there is a chance there is a chance that there may take place break of social continuity. Yes. So when if AI exceeds, if AI advances at such a pace that the people are left with no jobs, then in that case, with the break of social continuity, there may be conflicts, there may be protests. So, so this is what you can write in this statement according to MacLever. Yes. So try to write examples which are very much related to the present context. It will give you more a better understanding. The person who will be checking, he will when he will be checking, it will put in a good impression in front of him that a person, whatever he is studying, he is actually trying to write things related to it in the current perspective. That is he is he is applying his knowledge. That it is the applied section which gives more marks. Yes. Similarly, we talk about civilization, sorry, when we talk about culture, so McLever says that culture advances. Yes, culture advances, but it advances slowly. That culture advances slowly, and it is also subject that it advances slowly, and it is also subject to retrogression. Subject to retrogression. So what he is trying to say is that civilization always moves in a forward direction, but culture what it can happen that it, for example, this is the culture current state. Yes, now in a progressive society, the culture will be moving in this direction, progressive society. But there may be instances where the culture may start moving in the backward phase also. For example, I don't know it. If you look at the current Iranian culture, so the issue of wearing headscarf, it is for many anthropologists, it is believed to be a backward state, backward form of advancement. Yes. So it is not me who is saying this, but it is it is the anthropologists, it is the scholars who are criticizing this. And because if you look at this phenomena, what we are saying that the Iranian, there have been protests which are going on. Recently, a woman, like few days, a woman was killed because of this issue only. So culture may go in the backward direction only. In India also there's a controversial thing which is going on. You can mention here. I don't know if it is the right place to do so, but the Kerala hijab case is one such concept which you can mention. Like I'm not saying that it is must, but you can mention. It is also a kind of a backward state with the girls. What they are trying to do is that they are trying to emphasize on wearing headscarf. Yes, or wearing burqas. But in like in the Iranian society, the protest is going on for not wearing headscarf. Yes, they are protesting against, but in Kerala they are protesting in favor. So this is a backward backward protest going on. Well, the protest here is in a more forward manner, but the society is backward here. Here the society is forward, but the protest is in the backward stage. So this is what the second difference is. So let's move on to the third difference. Yes. So the third difference says that civilization is passed on without efforts. That is, civilization is passed on without efforts. It without efforts. See, it basically means, for example, uh, if you have civilizational aspect, for example, consider the concept of mobiles. So you just pass it down to your son and you give it to someone. So here there were no efforts for you to pass it on. These concepts only had monetary bases which are attached to it. Yes, but if you have this monetary capacity, you can easily buy this civilizational aspect. But if you own it and you can, if you want to transfer it to someone, so it is your will. You can transfer it for free, and in doing so, there will not be any efforts. So this is what civilization is. That is, civilization can be passed on without efforts. However, when we talk about culture and its transmission, it requires efforts. Yes, it requires efforts, and this transmission can only happen when there is certain degree of like-mindedness, degree of like-mindedness. Yes. So this is what like you cannot pass on a particular tradition from one person to another. Only when he becomes a person, becomes a member of a society, this symbol means belong. So if he belongs to a particular society and he moves on to a different society, and then that society will have its cultural practice over a period of time. These culture may get assimilated in him, and this is how culture gets transferred. So it takes efforts to do so. Here you can mention about the tribal assimilation or tribal integrational theories in Indian perspective. So here the concept of panchil, there is a concept of panchil regarding to tribal integration is one way which you can mention about it. That is in India, we want tribals to integrate. That is, we want tribals to retain their own culture and at the same time adopt the cultures of the mainstream society. That is it can mold its own culture in the way that it suits the culture of the mainstream society. So in this process, it will require effort, and this effort will continue for a long period of time. That it is a function of time and effort. Function of time and effort. Yes. Moving forward in the fourth example, the fourth difference is talks that the work of civilization can be improved by anybody. That is that is civilization. To improve civilization, it can be done by anyone. That civilizational improve, it can be done by anyone. But if we talk about culture, to improve culture, it will require only specific. It will require drastic changes to do so. See, culture changes can take place by an individual. However, that individual needs to have that charisma. That is, he needs to have the leadership qualities to bring about change in culture. Yes, but for civilizational aspect, anyone can improve it or anyone can make contributions towards it. If you talk about the example, uh, any civilizational aspect like buildings, roads, flyovers, so everyone is giving contribution to it. So here you can write anything. Like you can write like Google Pixels, mobiles being phones being manufactured in India under the under the Make in India initiative. So this is how you can write that anyone can improve a civilizational aspect. Of course, there will be some conditions, like one needs to be one needs to be have that degree of knowledge to do so. But it is very subjective, and on the very grassroots level, everyone can make contributions to it. But when it comes to culture, what will happen that only leaders, for example our PM, yes, so our PM has that charm, has that leadership quality that he is able to bring about cultural changes. Yes, that he is able to bring about cultural changes. His initiatives, his work on behavioral economics, his works on behavioral changes. For example, the concept of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao has brought about changes at the cultural level. And when a change is brought at the cultural level, what will happen that it will persist for a long time. That it will persist for a long time and will have changes at the institutions of family and other levels. Therefore, and behavioral changes are very important as compared to forced changes. Yes. Uh, Moving forward, the next difference is that civilizational is external and mechanical. So this it is the fifth point. Yes, it is fifth point that civilization is external and mechanical. But if we talk about culture, so culture is a concept which is related to internal and organic. aspects. It is inclusive of external things, while culture is more kind of an internal thought, feeling, and ideals and values. Yes. So here McLeod gives a very popular statement that civilization is what we have, and culture is what we are. So this is a popular statement which was given by McLeod, and it is important that you quote this here. Yes. So with respect to example, you can give any other example, and I don't find that important to write here. So the sixth point is that civilization is borrowed without change or loss. That civilization can be borrowed without any change or loss. But when it compares to culture, so culture when it when we borrow a culture, there may be changes which takes place in that culture or in the members which are adopting that culture. Yes. So this borrowing here you can mention about the diffusionist school and how diffusion have brought about how diffusion can bring about changes. So diffusion with respect to culture is important. Here you should write about diffusion here. How diffusion has brought about change in different parts of the world. In civilizational aspect, you can directly write that the technology transfer which India or other transfer of technology under the Patents Act or whatever we are doing does not involve any harm or does not involve any change or loss. When COVID was going on, so the transfer of technology regarding to COVID vaccine formulation, it will bring about no change in that civilizational aspect of vaccines. Yes, but the way vaccines are being adopted, the way the process of way the vaccines are being adopted, that is it that it will have a cultural aspect. For example, in a particular culture, there may be a taboo or there may be a fear or hesitation regarding to vaccination. Yes, but in a different culture, this fear may not exist. So the borrowing of this culture to different culture will require its modification in such a way that it becomes acceptable to the culture which had a fear. And this is what the sixth difference was talking about. So this is all which what we have to study in culture and civilization. Now, see, it becomes important that you are able to have an understand of the terms and have an imaginary understanding so that if a question is being asked, you are able to write an answer in a more holistic manner. See, when we talk about anthropology, one of the chief characteristics of anthropology is holism, that it is an holistic science. So when we talk about an holistic science, it means that it includes different dimensions. And this is what you can reflect in your answers. An answer, if it is holistic, if it covers all dimensions, then it will probably give you more, which will fetch you more answers. Yes. So this is what I had to tell you, and I hope that the you were able to understand this concept of civilization. So thank you everyone, whoever is watching, and I hope you are liking my the lectures. So that's it for today.